Hey everyone, my name's Neuro. I am a new freelance esports writer. I mainly write for League of Legends, and this is my first YouTube video, so thanks for dropping in and checking this out. Mainly what I wanted to cover today was, COVID-19, how that's affecting everything, and also the return of the LEC and the LCS. Now, if you see me kind of not really looking at the camera, that's because my camera is above me. Things might look a little janky for this first video. I'm trying to pull up all the information so that way everybody has the correct information that is needed, especially when it comes to talking about COVID-19. I don't want to give any misinformation, so I'm pulling, things from the CDC and the FDA. And I'll also put any of the links, anything I source, anything I grab, it's going to be in the description box below. And also, I'll probably put some snapshots of things up above while I'm reading them out and talking about them. And at the end of this video, in the comments below, if you have any suggestions for things you want me to talk about, things you want me to elaborate on, you can just go ahead and leave those. I appreciate it. If you don't know me, you probably don't. I have been writing in esports since about November of last year. I am now a freelance writer for Jinx TV. And I mainly do cover the LCS, although I have dabbled in the LEC. You may have seen an interview I did with Captain Flowers not too long ago. I've also done an interview with Medic. And I was supposed to go to spring finals here in Texas before we had to shut everything down. So let's get started. Let's jump into this. So first, you should be aware of what COVID-19 is. If you're not, it's a novel coronavirus. And a novel coronavirus means that it is a coronavirus that we have never identified before. It's completely new. It is something that we are not used to because we haven't identified it yet. And basically, it is a respiratory illness that spreads from person to person. And you might be hearing a lot about social distancing, which is a big thing that we need to do to flatten the curve, which is another thing that you may be hearing. And these things are all pretty important. So social distancing is basically not leaving your house if you don't have to. Obviously, if you need to go to the grocery store, you need to go to the pharmacy, things like that. That's perfectly acceptable. However, if you are feeling sick at any point in time, you should not be leaving the house. You need to distance yourself from other people, no more, like at least 6 feet away from people if you can. This virus can spread by droplets. So basically, because it's a respiratory illness, you can get droplets if you sneeze. Someone could come back 2 hours later, sit in the spot that you were sitting in, and contract the virus. So it spreads very rapidly. If you're seeing what's happening in China, South Korea, Italy, Spain, there's a lot of issues going on in the United States and Europe. We're no different to anything that's happening, and it continues to spread. And you might be seeing people going out to the beach and going out to bars and restaurants and saying, well, this must not really be a big deal. It really is. It's honestly a very big deal, and we need to be careful because even if you're not worried about yourself, oh, well, I'm in my 20s, I'm in my 30s, I'm perfectly healthy, I'll be fine. It's not really about you. It's about everybody else around you. You might come in contact with someone who is asymptomatic, and you may also be asymptomatic. You may not get sick, but then you pass it along to somebody who will be symptomatic and someone who can get very sick, and we don't have enough hospital beds, we don't have enough ventilators. And so flattening the curve is basically trying to limit the spread of the virus so that way when people do get sick and they need to go to the hospital, there are enough beds and enough ventilators and people to be taken care of. Because right now we're already starting to be stretched thin, and we're not even close in cases to what other countries are dealing with. So that's the big deal with coronavirus, and specifically COVID-19, which is what we're dealing with. So I'm not going to lecture too much on this illness. I highly recommend you check out the CDC if you need more information. Also, be checking the news, any reputable sources. Please do not listen to people that say that if you hold your breath for 10 seconds and you don't feel any pain, that you don't have the virus, or that you just have to gargle with salt water and it kills the virus. I mean, these are things that are terrible. They are incorrect. They are not factual, and they're dangerous to spread. So please make sure that any sources you're checking are reputable. I myself, you don't even have to listen to me. I will be linking the articles from the CDC and the FDA that I have actually read this information from, and you can check it out yourself. You don't have to take me at face value. So let's move on. So basically, COVID-19 kind of threw everything for a loop because we were all planning for finals to come up in the LCS and the LEC. And for a while now, the LEC had already announced that they were going to have their spring finals in Budapest, but they were going to move it back to the Berlin studio. And the LCS spring finals had still been on path to be in Texas. And Commissioner Chris Greeley was still updating us, saying that they were working with local governments to try to make sure that everything was going to be moving smoothly and that everyone would be safe. Because that was the biggest factor, is keeping everybody safe. And if you are in a huge arena with thousands of people, you're not exactly practicing social distancing. But at the time, the cases weren't so big. Things seemed to be doing okay. There were only certain states that were dealing with a lot of issues. And right now, and I will also link this map, there is a map that shows where we are at with the spread. And today, all 50 states have at least one case with coronavirus. West Virginia was the only state up until today that had not reported any cases, and they just reported their first one today. And to be honest, with the limited amount of testing that has been done, there's probably a lot more cases all over the country. But we have every single state has at least one case. There are major issues in the state of Washington and the state of New York. There have been a lot more cases, and California is also ramping up there. So everyone wanted to make sure that whoever was going to go to finals, if we were still going to have finals in Texas, everyone was going to be safe. And then the big surprise came just last week on March 13th, when about maybe 15 minutes before the LEC broadcast began, the LEC came with a tweet that says, "In light of the uncertainty during the rapidly changing COVID-19 pandemic situation and in abundance of caution, we've decided to err on the side of player and staff safety and suspend the LEC spring season until further notice. At this point in time, no member of the LEC staff or players has tested positive for COVID-19. However, we have reason to suspect an LEC staff member may have been exposed to the virus. This person is under quarantine and is being evaluated by health professionals. We will update everyone as soon as we have more information." Now, obviously, everyone was a little bit confused and surprised because the LEC countdown was still beginning, and it took about maybe 15-20 seconds after the countdown actually ended for shocks to pop up and actually verbally confirm the situation, and that the LEC spring split would be essentially canceled indefinitely. And about 6:30 Central Time, the same day, we got an update from Commissioner Chris Greeley here in the LCS that said, "As the impact of COVID-19 continues to grow, we're committed to keeping the health and safety of our players, fans, and everyone who makes the LCS possible at the forefront of every decision we make." And so it was an incredibly difficult call to make, but this afternoon we decided, after discussion with LCS teams, to suspend operations for the immediate future. The same factors that weighed into this decision, coupled with expanding restrictions on large-scale public events in North Texas, have also led us to move the 2020 LCS Spring Finals from Dallas to the home studio in Los Angeles. For those who have already purchased tickets to LCS matches or to the Spring Finals, you will be fully refunded. Squad Up is already issuing refunds. LCS studio tickets and SeatGeek will begin processing finals refunds as quickly as possible. We want to thank all the LCS fans in Texas and beyond, the Ford Center, City of Frisco, SeatGeek, and all of our LCS organizations for being supportive during this tumultuous time. Now, at this point, everything was starting to be thrown up in the air because we didn't know when things were going to come back, and there were lots of freelancers, myself included, who were wondering, if you're not even thinking about LCS finals, what are you going to be doing for writing articles? I personally work on the LCS recaps at Jinx, and I try to come up with storylines. I try to focus on maybe one or two teams that maybe have done something shocking. I'm not going to write the same story about C9 every week. Oh, wow, they went 2-0 again. Obviously, it was a big thing when they lost their first game of the split, but until that point, it was, okay, they won again. That's not really much to write about. So we started wondering what was going to happen, and we also didn't know how long we were going to be essentially out of commission. And then we had Endercasts from the LEC, and we had Avali here in the LCS who orchestrated some in-houses. I will try to find the VODs for those and also link them below. They are absolutely wonderful. They are hilarious. Every caster, every analyst, every player, anyone who actually participated in these in-houses did an amazing, wonderful job, and they didn't have to. It was all just them coming out to do these in-houses. They didn't have to, and it was just a really wonderful thing for the community, and I think we were all really needing something like that. It was really just a really great time. And so if you haven't seen them, I will try to find the VODs and link them. If I can't find VODs, I'm pretty sure that they were probably recorded onto Twitch, and so I can probably link the Twitch videos, and I'll do that in the description box as well. And so for this next week, we've been trying to find out what exactly is going to happen. And then the wonderful news came out from the LEC and the LCS. And basically, we're back. We are back starting up this Friday and Saturday for the LEC, and then Saturday and Sunday for the LCS. Monday Night League's games will be put on the Sunday and Saturday games. So it's going to be back to the schedule that it used to be before the LCS added Monday Night League to the docket. So according to the LEC, they posted this earlier today. And they said, due to the ongoing developments of the coronavirus, we have decided to play the remainder of the 2020 LEC Spring Split 100% remotely online, with matches resuming Friday, March 20th. And they also had a link that says, one of the main challenges of online play is how to preserve competitive integrity. To help with this, all teams will be competing from their facilities in Berlin, with the exception of Origin, who will play from their training center in Copenhagen. Latency to our LEC tournament servers will be reasonably low and roughly equal between teams, offering a level playing field for the league. In accordance with local and governmental guidelines, and to further help mitigate any health risks, we have decided not to send a referee to each team facility. Instead, we will be implementing a variety of measures to protect competition integrity to the extent possible in a remote environment, including additional cameras to monitor the rooms the players will compete in, fully monitoring voice communication, screen recording, and remote control ability, on top of other measures currently being considered. Lastly, we are investigating the ability to pause and resume the game at a later time in the event a game cannot be continued due to a verified external cause, like ISP issues, events beyond their control, etc. And then later today, the LCS followed suit and said, we are pleased to announce the return of the LCS and Academy starting this week with online matches and continuing for the remainder of the spring split. Both leagues will resume with the scheduled Week 8 matches, although we'll be shifting the Monday Night League games to Saturday and Sunday. In addition to this change, Academy Rush will be canceled and will be replaced with the 5 Academy games broadcasted back-to-back for Weeks 8 to 9. We expect to have the Academy and LCS match schedules updated on lolesports.com soon. With us transitioning the LCS and Academy into a fully remote setup, you may see some changes or delays in the broadcast as we fine-tune the new setup, and you should expect that the broadcast will not have the usual level of polish. We'll do our best to deliver the best possible broadcast product to you, and we appreciate your patience during the move to the online format. We look forward to bringing the action of the LCS and Academy back to you soon. So, there was no complete word about whether or not they would be using the same type of format that the LEC is going to be doing, whereas not getting a referee, but adding extra cameras, things like that. They really didn't explain that much. I would assume that some of those things will likely be the same. It is probably a good idea not to bring any referees in, not because of trusting that, nothing could go wrong, but just that to protect the safety of everybody involved. So there's been a lot of talk about, it's only been a week. It has only been a week, but what will these changes do for the teams in general? Speaking more towards the LCS, as that is what I cover, we hear a lot about things like scrim gods and people that play better in scrims than they do on stage. Maybe there's just on stage jitters, or maybe they don't feel comfortable in a different environment than what they're playing in. Maybe the temperature is weird. I mean, whatever it is. How will that affect some of the teams that play better in scrims? Will they do better because this is more of an online tournament and similar to scrims, or will it be the same thing? And then for other teams that have really done poorly, to surprise, like say Team Liquid, a week is probably not going to be something that's going to change really anything in the scope of things. A lot of the issues that they've been having, Doublelift's motivation issues, bringing in tactical, Broxa being out for almost half the split. What exactly will Team Liquid be able to do with this online format that they couldn't do on stage? What are the issues? Should we say that spring is just a loss for Team Liquid and they'll pick it back up in summer? Or is this new format going to be able to do better for them? For teams like Cloud9, who have been doing incredibly well, except for their one loss. And even then, there was a lot to learn from that. But what will that do for them? Will this week off, has this been a problem for them? Have they, we know that they did, they teamed up with a couple of other teams for the Wash Your Hands tournament. Again, I'll get some VODs and put them below. What can we expect from that? They've obviously, all of the teams, whether doing in-houses or some sort of wash your hands tournament or whatnot, they seem to have still been practicing, and scrims seem to still be going on. So will this change anything? Will the format change anything? Because the games won't change. They're still going to be playing League of Legends. It's still going to be behind a computer screen. We're just changing it to being completely online versus on stage. So if you think that anything's going to change, if you have an opinion about, what you think is going to change, or if certain teams are going to do better now with this new type of system, or certain teams are going to do worse, I want to hear those comments. I want to have a discussion. I want to hear your opinions on this, because we only have a few more days before this starts up again. And I'm really curious to see if this will do anything. And not to mention that with using an online type of tournament, something that they haven't really done in a long time, even the commissioner mentioned possible polishing issues, that it's not going to be the same type of broadcast. So is that going to pose issues? Are we going to have, they're probably going to be playing on their tournament realm, so it's going to be probably like 6 or 7 ping. So there's probably not going to be an issue there. But, what's going to happen in that type of environment? Because it's not just like scrims. So it's going to be very interesting to see what this new format does for the teams. Will we see teams that have done really, really poorly rise up to the occasion? Will we see teams that have done really, really well kind of falter, or will everything just kind of be as it was? That's definitely something to think about. And like I said, I want to hear your comments below. I want to see what kind of thoughts we all have on this, and then kind of see what happens when the games begin. For the LEC, they'll start on Friday, and for the LCS, they will start on Saturday. Looks like it will all be the normal times, so you shouldn't expect anything different. I'm also curious to see what the analyst desks are going to be doing. You have Ready Check for the LEC, you have the analyst desk for LCS, and I'm very curious to see how that will work. Will it be more of a hotline league type of a thing where we have, each of the casters and hosts and analysts at their own desks, and we're just going to kind of hear them talk in different cameras, or, how is this production going to be? I'm very curious to see that, and I think it should be really, really interesting. So I think that's going to be all for me on this first video. Like I said, I really appreciate it if you've watched this whole thing till the end. I apologize if things have been a little janky, or if I've stumbled over my words. I'm going to try not to edit any of that out. I really want to capture the realness of this. I don't think it needs to be an incredible production, especially since I'm doing this on my own. This is my own content. I am creating it. I am going to, edit it and put it out there. And so if you liked it, I hope that you like and subscribe. I really don't like saying those things, but I really want to know that you guys like the content. And like I said, if you have any suggestions or questions or comments, please put them in the comments below this video. You can also check me out on Twitter. My account is Neuro Esports LOL. That's my Twitter handle. I will also put that in the description box. Feel free to follow. You can check out all of my articles are listed there, my interviews. I even have a Discord. So if you want to check out the Discord, the link is pinned. And thanks for checking out this video, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks.